And welcome to another episode of Couch Potato Queen Survivor, the Australian Outback rewatch. I'm your host, Josh Mendelson. Woo! It's a crazy day in the real world today, so we definitely want to put out a little bit of a distraction. So I am here to bring on my co-host. He is a friend of mine that I've had for like probably 15 years. We went to school together back in the day, and now we currently play online reality games with each other because we are the best people on the planet. Ladies and gentlemen, and they, them, it is Robbie Ramon!
Hey Josh, thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
Hi, Robbie. I'm so excited to have you on the show because, like, both of us have so much knowledge on this show, so, like, we're gonna slay it.
Knowledge on the show and like history with each other, so it's gonna have like a good back and forth, I feel.
I know, guys. Me and Robbie have been like enemies before. We've been best allies before. We've been Jerri and Amber. We've been Jerri and Keith.
Gauntlet with each other, yeah.
Yeah, we've been at both ends, which I like being allies with you, honestly. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, me too. I mean, like, I feel like from here on out, we know what our relationship is gonna be like. And that kind of makes me happy because, like, I don't have to worry about Crazy Josh being against me anymore because I don't want that. So
no, Crazy Josh is not a fun person to have against you. It's good. This is why I stick to podcasts. All right. With that, let's go ahead and get started off. We are going to be going over episodes 10 and 11 today of Survivor the Australian Outback. So let's get rolling with episode 10. So basically, it starts off with Keith saying life in the Outback is getting tougher. Nick is sick and saying the roof of his mouth is dry and he's sick, not doing well, enlarged tonsils, and he feels burnt out. And they're basically low on rice. They are basically famished over there. They just look like death. What are your thoughts?
They are literally dying. Like, all the time, it's so funny because you'll be like watching like the Facebook comments of like the Survivor page, and everyone's like, you need to go back to how it was when they didn't have rice and they didn't have this and that. And like, I haven't watched an early season in a very long time. I forgot how little they had and like how the environment affected them so much. When Nick was talking about his like roof of his mouth and he couldn't swallow, I'm like, I'm the biggest baby when I'm sick. So if anything like that was happening to me out there, I would have been miserable. It would have been an absolute nightmare.
Oh, I'd be like Jerri out there if I was starving. Like, Jerri is like Miss Hangry, like Chef Jerri. If you don't give her food, she is the devil. Like, she is straight out of the Crucible. Like, people are accusing her of witchcraft because it's Jerri Manthey, everybody.
Like, let it get to her this whole episode too, I feel. That was probably a big contributing factor to how she had rubbed people the wrong way for so long, was because of how she acted.
This is like the Jerri starring episode. This is like Jerri as like Fantine of Les Miserables. That's basically what it is. So
this episode is like Survivor history. Like, so much happens in this episode that are so many firsts, and it's like, I'm excited to talk about it.
I am too. So next we get to like the pre-reward part of this episode, which honestly is one of my favorite parts of the episode because they are asked to pair each other up in pairs of 2. And obviously everyone wants to be, who would you want to be paired with? Obviously Colby. But no, Jerri doesn't care. Jerri is like, I'm picking Colby. All y'all can suck a big one. And everyone's like, that's not fair. And
that's not happening.
And Jerri's like, and does a confessional like, there's nothing fair about this, folks. Like, it's amazing. So they decide to be fair and pick partners out of a hat. And what happens? Jerri Manthey, Colby gets it anyway. What are your thoughts?
Funny. I laughed so hard when that happened because it just was like, if she would have just kept her mouth shut. Sorry, I don't know if we can swear.
You can. Just
okay, if she kept her fucking mouth shut, she would have gotten her way and she wouldn't have come across looking as completely like delusional as she did. Like, she had no self-awareness at this stage in the game. Like, it was just out the window. And so I think for her, she was like, I'm going to do and say what I want. This is my alliance. They're not going to vote. What are they going to do? Vote me out? Yeah, girl, they just might. So I feel like she really thought that she had the agency to talk like that. No self-awareness at all, but it was just so
none.
Funny. She would have just kept her mouth shut. Girl would have been fine. She literally would have been fine.
Jerri Manthey is like the definition of delusional. Like, she's great and she has legs and dairy. Like, she's legendary. But like, she just has no aspect of what's going on around her. She thinks everyone loves her.
Honestly, so many people have that kind of same, like, in the next episode, I said something like it took like 38 minutes before anybody started talking strategy. Like, we're not watching these old school seasons for strategy. We're watching them for nostalgia. Like, let's be real.
We're watching the old school seasons to see people make hot messes of themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jerri Manthey. I do love my girl, but Kimmy, you know, a little bit, you know. You got.
Oh, I had another comment about the reward challenge. Terrible editing. The editing was laughable. I told you it's been so long since I've watched an old season, right? For whatever reason, they don't appeal to me anymore. I don't know what it is, and that's I need to. But like the editing was so bad during that reward challenge.
I agree totally. So the pairs are paired up, and they have to do like an obstacle course, like similar to what they did in Borneo. I think episode 6. So it's like one of those ones. Or actually, I think they did a 2-2 pairing in Borneo. Pretty sure they did something like it in Borneo. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the pairs are so not even. You have Amber and Keith. You have Roger and Tino. I'm sure they're going to win.
I wanted them to win so.
Well, here's your ticket, buddy. And then you have Elizabeth and Nick, which could be a pair because Nick is pretty strong. And then you have Jerri and Colby. I wonder who's gonna win.
Like demolish this, yeah.
But like the best part was Colby like dragging Jerri through the course. It's incredible.
I wrote that down. That was one of my notes.
It's legendary. Please give me your thoughts on that.
One of my notes is Colby dropping Jerri on her ass. LOL. But then overall, I wrote, wow, that whole challenge was really lame because it was so uneven. And it was just kind of like, I feel like Survivor didn't really care as much at that point. They were just like happy to be around still. So like, you can tell that thought didn't go into these challenges the way that they do now in order to keep things as fair as they can. But I died laughing when he like pulled her ass through the tire and she just like flopped and she's like, Colby, no, don't drop me. He just dropped her.
It's incredible. He doesn't even care. Jerry's like moaning like she's riding him or thinking about pouring hot chocolate all over his bod. She's probably imagining that during this challenge. And she's like moaning the whole challenge. It's kind of like a sexual innuendo. I'm thinking like volcanic mud volcano of season 1. But like it's incredible. And what a surprise. Colby and Jerri win. Woo! Yeah. And for the reward, it's pretty freaking cool. They get to
the reward is beautiful.
They get to take a trip to the probably now extinct Great Barrier Reef.
Right, my God.
Is that even there anymore?
It started to deteriorate after Jerri visited it.
I told you she's a witch.
Jerri is the reason the Great Barrier Reef is extinct.
Witch, she's a witch.
Honestly, though, the reward was beautiful. Even when they were traveling there, I was wondering in my head, I was like, I wonder how close they are to the Great Barrier Reef. Like, how long is this flight that they're on?
Oh, yeah. And did you notice on it that, like, right when they got Colby's like, we're not talking strategy.
No, talking about
Colby hates her. He hates Jerri.
Really? And I actually did kind of feel bad for her, the way that she looked at him and the way that he treated her. Like, she probably went home and felt really dumb about that later on.
Oh, yeah. So I'll explain their rewards. They get to go on a helicopter to the Great Barrier Reef. So they take a little helicopter ride. They get a lunch little thing of sandwiches and snacks and stuff. Didn't really look that appetizing to me, but whatever. And, you know, Jerri's enjoying her bitch trip to the Barrier Reef. That's what I called it. Like, Jerri's like, the setting is very romantic. This is one hell of a first date with Colby. She's like, I'm so excited to be on my first date with him. I'm dressed all nice. Let's do this. And Colby's like, I'm just here for the experience. I'm not here to date this woman. She crazy. Like, it was incredible. Like,
did not give a shit about it.
Back to the delusions of Jerri Manthey.
I was laughing so hard because of the cameras that they got. Like, when they got there, they got to like take pictures of each other, and they had these like old ass cameras. The underwater camera was it was like this big.
Oh yeah.
Huge underwater camera that like they had to like take. Oh my God, I was laughing so hard at the technology.
It reminds me of the camera that like I brought with me on a cruise that I went with my family when I was like 10 years old.
Exactly.
Like underwater ones from the 90s.
It was funny because I wrote delusional so many times next to Jerri's name because she just was so delusional. My favorite thing that she said was how it was like a honeymoon without the sex.
Oh, yeah.
Girl, calm down. This ain't that.
She is thirsty for some Colby Donaldson. But
get it. His body was glistening.
Sexy. Yes, Colby Donaldson is a beautiful man. And
he did not give a...
Oh, Robbie, check his Instagram. He's even more beautiful now as a daddy. He is hot.
I am a fan of Colby nowadays.
He is hot, yeah. So
I'm here for the way that he...
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, I guess great. What else can you do, you know?
It's perfect. It was really good. But the thing I was going to say is, and I said this 2 episodes ago, Colby's into blondes. Sorry, Jerri.
Enter Elizabeth.
Well, I mean, we all know about Elizabeth.
There was a scene that cut back to the people at camp while they were on their reward, and it was Elizabeth and Tina, and they were talking, and behind them, 20, 30 feet away in the water, this crocodile is just chilling.
I didn't even see that.
It was so jarring. I was like, that crocodile is way too fucking close to them right now, like literally.
Amazing. And
cool.
Yeah, and what's going on at Barramundi, yeah, you're right. Like, Elizabeth knows her and Roger on the chopping block, so she's doing anything she can to stay right now. She's working hard. And it's funny how, like, she's using the fact that Jerri's not with the tribe right now to her advantage. It's obvious everyone is happy she's gone. They're all literally sitting there chatting about how they're happy Jerri's not there.
Tina knows, too. Tina knows that if they're going to do something, that it's going to be right now. Like, they know that if this is going to be the opportunity to get somebody like Jerri out while retaining the numbers, which we can talk about because, my God, they should not have gotten away with this.
Yeah.
But they did. But you can tell that Tina knows. Tina wants to hear this from Elizabeth.
Tina wants Jerri out. And the reason Tina wanted Jerri on, this is a very old school vibe to it, is she wanted to keep the nice and good people and take out the bad people. Now, Jerri, I don't really think is a bad person. It's just she's a villain in an early season. Jerry's just
rubbing people the wrong way.
Jerri just needs a sandwich. If you can give Jerri a sandwich, she's like your best friend. She's great. But like,
Jerri's all of us in a relationship.
Yeah, like if Jerri if she can't make her Jerri's tortillas and fried green tomatoes, like she's gonna be in a really bad mood and she'll cut you. Like, very true.
Right.
So, which brings us next to our immunity challenge. Which is a tug of war over water. So basically you have the 2 contestants standing on little pegs and they have a rope and they're playing tug of war.
Talk about an unbalanced and unfair challenge for these girls. Like, nothing about this was really fair to me, and it was not that enjoyable to watch.
Not only was it not, but it shocks me that Colby didn't win this going back. I thought Colby won this immunity. Looking back, it's Nick.
I feel like maybe, I mean, I'm not going to take away Nick's win because he obviously won. But like, Colby might have thrown it to Nick because Nick was the target. So if Colby wanted Nick to be safe,
he wanted Jerri out. Oh, girl. Yes.
The hand to vote for Jerri instead of Nick. So he may have done that on purpose.
There is a chance. We got some tea with Robbie. There we go. Breaking it down.
My notes were going to come in handy.
I'm happy your notes came in handy.
I was like, Colby threw that. Like, that's what I was like, there's no way. Nick is tiny compared to Colby.
Yeah, I did like the little section of like Amber. I think it was Amber versus Elizabeth. And like there's that little music that plays that Amber is trying to do. And it's like, oh, look, screen time for Amber.
Yeah, absolutely. Cracking me up.
I actually have, Robbie, the only time where you really get screen time for Amber in all of her seasons is when she eats something that's really good and she's like, oh my God, it's so good.
When Jerri and Colby left for their reward, all you hear is Amber going, let's eat. It's like, that's all she said. It was so funny. It was out of nowhere. I was like, yes, Amber. I do want to go back really quick because before the immunity challenge, Colby from the reward challenge brought back a piece of coral for everybody.
Yes.
He was like, here, I got you all a souvenir from the Great Barrier Reef. Here's a piece of coral. This one's yours, Roger. And Jerri immediately saw that as like strategy. But then her dumbass goes, I really want to see me and Colby in the end. I mean, he did just do this whole coral trick, so he might have one up on me, but I think it needs to be me and him in the end. no self-awareness at all. It was so mind-numbing.
This it's just the trick on Jerri. That's what this entire episode is about. Is Jerri convinced she's making it to the end? She's gonna win this game with Amber in her side pocket and Colby as the horse she's riding all the way to the end.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's not what happens.
I noticed a couple of random things too about Nick.
What did you have?
Well, nothing really interesting about the game because he really sucks at Survivor. But I noticed that he had on his T-shirt was Morehouse University or Morehouse College, which is a historically all-black college.
Yeah,
and he has a big port wine birthmark on his arm. I don't know if you noticed it.
Yeah,
I don't ever remember seeing that, but I was like, oh wow, and it's in the exact same spot as a friend of mine, so I noticed that immediately.
And my thing with Nick is I feel like he didn't get much of an edit on the show, but I feel like people really did somewhat like him. He did last farther, and Kimmy said some really nice things about him.
I think he was likable. I think he was over it.
Yeah, I think he didn't want to be there. I think they just he was cast to fit a certain role, and I don't think he wanted to play from what it looks like. But he seems like a really cool guy, and I wish he would have gotten a better edit.
He was so sick with just thinking about when he was describing how his mouth felt. Like if I get a toothache, I'm done. So if something is on the roof of my mouth, no, I can't do that. You're flying me out of here. I'm done.
Oh, absolutely. All right, yeah. So next we go to before the tribal council. What's being set up here is Jerri's saying the target's going to be Elizabeth. Elizabeth seems to be the one going. It's like the battle versus good and evil. You know, Keith and Tina are discussing, should we go for Elizabeth? Is now the time to take out Jerri? Yeah, and they were talking about it, and I think they agreed they want to do it, but now they need to sway Colby. Colby didn't want to at first. He seemed like, we can do it another time. It's still too early. But the big battle is, is Colby going to turn on Jerri and take Jerri out of the game?
Yeah, Colby, by the end of that conversation, Colby was the one that was ready to do it.
He was ready. Exactly.
He was like, I'm glad you brought this up. This is what I want to happen. Let's do this now. And then Keith kind of started to give him a little pushback.
Yeah.
And then Colby was like, no, we're doing it. And you could tell. I only watched these 2 episodes. I haven't really watched their relationship up until this point, but you can absolutely tell that Colby, Keith, and Tina are the heart of that tribe.
Oh, hands down. But honestly, Tina controls it. I really think Tina, underrated winner. Sorry to spoil. Whoops. Tina really played a great game, and I don't think I gave her as much credit the first time as I am now.
Social game, yeah. Keith is just kind of there. He's usable for them. He's for the purpose. Colby had a good social game too, but he was also just not as dynamic of a character as Tina.
He's I think underrated. I put him in the same.
You can just tell the 3 of them were calling the shots since day one on.
Oh, for sure. I put him at the same rate as a Rupert, honestly. He's great. People like him, but overrated. Didn't you know what I mean? He controlled some stuff, but I don't think he'll ever be brought back again. Whereas I think Tina could potentially be brought back. So, all right. So we get to our tribal council. It is the showdown of good versus evil. We have Elizabeth, the perfect America's sweetheart. And then we also have Jerri Manthey, the villain. So it's actually so funny, there's that meme of the villain and then the real villain.
Yeah.
Obviously, the TV edited villain would be Jerri, but the real villain would be Elizabeth Hasselbeck all the way.
How much did we love Elizabeth back in the day? I know
we loved her.
I was obsessed with Elizabeth Filarski.
Hasselbeck. We like Elizabeth Filarski. We do not like Elizabeth Hasselbeck. She's a vile gremlin.
That was so short. There was 2 questions, and that was it. But I did write down that Jerri's answer was pretty self-reflective. She had actually, it was the first point in me watching her in this episode where I'm like, okay, maybe she does realize how she's coming across to people, but maybe it's way too late. Way too late.
Oh, honey, it's as Jenna Lewis said, a little too late. Okay. Yeah. Now, the really fun parts about this tribal council are the voting reasons, one of which was not on the episode, but obviously Colby's vote to Jerri is incredible. It's do you hear that thing? It's checkout time. Incredible.
Yep.
Legendary. And then the best one really is Roger. Most days she gets up in a good mood, but oh baby, look out if she gets up in a bad mood.
I like paused it to tell my roommate that happened because I thought it was so funny.
Oh, it's
I was
great.
like, Roger out of nowhere. So funny.
Oh yeah, come on, Roger, get some brownie points for me. I don't think we've really. I talked about him in like the first episode when he was jumping off
Oh,
the
the cliff.
cliff.
Yeah,
That's really the only time I've talked about Roger. So there you go, buddy. Get some airtime. There you go. But at the end of the day, you have Jerri and Amber voting for Elizabeth, and the rest of the tribe votes out the queen bee. Regina George is dethroned. Jerri, checkmate. You guys got me. She's done. So Jerri is voted out.
She was humble on her way out, though, which was kind of interesting. I mean, I feel like most people would be for the most part because it's just a game, but like, it was nice to see like a human side to her because she's been so like opposite of that for the most part. So it was nice to see that like humility come out at the end.
Oh yeah, and at the end of the day, Jerri's an actress, so she was there to do a job.
Hey, there you go.
Let's get real, you know? All right, so we're going to jump right in now to the next episode. That would be episode 11. So it is Waking Up. It's Barramundi Tribe, day 28. And really, the morale is the exact same as it was in the last episode. Camp morale is low. Amber feels isolated now that Jerri was voted off. She feels left out because the other Ogakors didn't tell her about the vote. Amber knows she's at the bottom.
What she is, and she should realize that and work with it.
You know, it's like if it was today's Survivor and I was Amber, I'd be like, I'm gonna go to the Kuchas, Nick, Elizabeth, and Roger. They have 3. I can make it 4. Bye, Tina, Keith, and Colby. Have a nice day.
Yep.
But we'll see if she does that. So Amber shows us Barramundi has basically run out of rice. They have no food and are basically starving. She says they have about 1 day of food left. It's like she pulls out the rice and it's like this little bit. Like
barely any.
It looks like scraps of like 1 meal. It's like an eighth of a cup of rice. So what would you do with an eighth of a cup of rice, Robbie?
I would cry and pray for more. That's literally what you do with it. But like literally.
Amazing. Yeah. And you have Colby, you know, he thinks it's not a big deal. The body can live off with having no food for weeks. Like, he's like, I don't care if there's no
yeah.
I'm like, they're starving. They're practically like eating themselves right now. It's great. You know, they're trying to catch. It's just depressing to watch them. They're trying to catch fish. They can't catch fish. Elizabeth,
like 20 minutes trying to catch grasshoppers. I'm like, wow.
I was just about to get to that. This episode is, some parts are a little bit boring. They're to the point where they're editing a 10-minute session of Keith and Colby looking for grasshoppers.
Literally. Wow,
and I'm like, I literally zoned out for a good 5 minutes and they're still on the grasshopper section. So if you're watching this and you haven't watched the episode yet, if you see Keith and Colby looking for grasshoppers, just fast forward for like 5 minutes.
You're not going to miss anything.
It's like a bonus that no one wants to watch. Elizabeth had a funny line, though, where she said everyone here would bring back Jerri if we had rice to come with her.
Yeah, that was really funny.
Amazing. Okay, yeah, so the next part would be the tree mail. They get individual packets full of money. And I'm so excited to talk about this because this is the first ever Survivor auction.
Ever. I wrote that one down. First ever auction.
And I say this challenge is like one of my favorite challenges of all time, which they need to bring back in current seasons.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
They haven't done it in a long time, but obviously I'm going to spoil later seasons, but the Micronesia Fans versus Favorites auction is one of the best challenges of all time.
God, I don't even know what I have to rewatch that.
My God, with the cake. Do you remember it with the cake?
I know. I would have to watch it. I have no idea.
It's incredible. But yeah, so basically what happens is each contestant gets $500 in Australian and they get to have an auction on items. But okay, these like
the portion is what you were going to talk about.
These items are a mess. Like, would I be betting money for like crap, basically? Like only like 3 of them were good.
3 crackers is what one of the things Nick won.
3 crackers. I'm gonna go down the list here. We have 4 Doritos and salsa, won by Tina.
I would have thrown them in Jeff's face.
Oh wait, no, sorry, it wasn't Tina. It was Nick. It was Nick who won this Doritos and salsa. But Tina was like, I've been craving Doritos this entire game, Jeff, and I just don't know if I can do that. That's not enough for me. Like, I thought...
I don't blame her. There was 4. I would have been like, no, you can keep that.
Okay, yeah, you got it. Okay, then we have Elizabeth spending $260 on like 2 pieces of chocolate and peanut butter, giving a foreshadowing to a legendary moment in Survivor the Amazon with some chocolate and peanut butter, which we will get into in the future, everybody.
Absolutely.
But Elizabeth is like the virginal version of putting chocolate and peanut butter. Let's just say that.
She's going to pay for it like a normal person.
She's like, I've been waiting for this for so long. I'm so happy.
She really went to town on it too. I didn't blame her. Like, honestly, like, that's when I would have started to get excited. I'm like, oh my God, chocolate.
Chocolate.
Like, I would have been so excited.
But after that, it's just a straight up downfall. You get like 4 crackers going to Nick, a Mountain Dew going to Amber, Keith gets a slice of pizza, Tina gets a glass of milk and 3 mini Oreos. Like, these things are crap. Like,
because the best one, my favorite is 6 French fries.
6 French fries awarded to Amber and some ranch dressing. Clearly, I'd just be putting down money for the ranch.
I just don't like 6 French fries. Why? Like, give me 10. Like, why are you giving me 6 French fries? Why are you taking my money?
Do you want to hear the tea? What I think it is? I think that the production members just were hungry. So there was a lot more food in production, decided to eat half of it. That's what I think. But
oh, and then one of the later items was also coffee and like an energy bar.
Yeah, iced coffee and an energy bar. Colby and Amber fight it out, but like, why would Amber want the energy bar and iced coffee? That's horrible.
Don't get me wrong. Us gay men are just honestly like fueled by iced coffee.
Right.
But 30 days into the Australian, however many days they're there for with no food in their stomach, the idea of drinking coffee, like, killed me in that moment. I'm like, oh my God,
right.
I was so sick.
I want a Diet Coke. That's what I want. But the best one,
that Mountain Dew looks good.
Oh yeah, next we get a turkey dinner with mashed potatoes and bread, and Elizabeth and Tina end up pocketing together. She's like, I will give you another 20 if I can have half your turkey and half your meal. Okay. It was like a full-on deal they made.
That's like the Tina Wesson clause. So like later in seasons, you can't.
They stopped doing it.
Put your money together. They're like, no.
They stopped pocketing after Tina did that. So, truth for the future. And then the next one is probably the best part of the challenge. We get the mystery plate. Amber, who only got 6 French fries and some ranch, puts down $200 for the mystery plate, and it is Herbert River water. So we don't get Amber being like, it's so good. Instead, we like, I'm going to throw this at you, Jeff Pro.
She was ready to throw it at him.
So that's what we get.
I was so annoyed at that point, though, because when she walked up to get it, Keith said to Colby, oh, we called that one. We played that one, right? Didn't we, Colby? Shut up, Keith. Like, it was completely random, Keith. Like,
yes.
Oh, it was so annoying.
I love it. And then last, we had a cheeseburger, won by Roger. I'm all here for Roger. You go, buddy. Get your cheeseburger.
I wrote down, I was like, why is Roger handsome? Question mark. I think it's just because we're in quarantine and it's been so long since I've been with a man that I'm like, damn, even Roger kind of looks handsome.
You know what? I was thinking Rudy looked handsome in season 1 by the end. I was like, okay. I was like, I'll go for the 80-year-old man. Let's go. No, but he hates like everybody. Like, I don't like Rudy because he's racist and homophobic. So yeah, not a huge fan of that. But there you go. But so that's the end of the challenge. They're all getting back to the Barramundi camp, and everyone on the tribe has the runs. They are all not feeling well. Well, except for Amber, who didn't get any food.
It's fine, yeah.
Like, Gretchen Wiener didn't get any food, so she's doing well. Amber's still the Gretchen Wiener.
Tapeworms.
Like, it's almost like a none for you, Gretchen Wiener. It's like a none for you, Amber.
It worked out for her, though.
Yeah, it's good. It did. But everyone's not doing so well. We have Elizabeth running back and forth. She literally is running to go to the bathroom.
I love they called it the lavatory. I'm like, that's cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Well, also, there's a few issues going on at camp. The river tide has risen, and it's getting closer to the shelter. They're saying that they're probably going to have to move it. They have their shelter in the middle of a riverbed. Elizabeth's like, it's almost doubled in size, and it's coming for us. So they need to move their camp, or else it could flood out.
And by the way, at this point, we're about 18 minutes in. There's been zero talk of strategy.
Zero. There's no strategy in this episode.
Other than Amber being like, I'm on the bottom. What can I do? Nothing.
Like, nothing.
But yeah, there was, I made a note because Roger put a stick where the tide had come to. And I was like, oh, he's doing that to measure like where the tide's coming. And then later on, you can see like the water's like over the stick. I was like, oh shit.
Yep. Amazing.
The conditions were insane.
I know.
Really weird. Like, I would kill for Survivor to go to some new locations. Australia was beautiful. It was good land, but like...
Same with Africa. They both were harsh conditions, and I think that's why they always have it on a beach now, because they need to be like accessible to the oceans. That's why they haven't, since Africa at least, they really haven't had it on like a landmass, you know, which would be cool for them to go back to it, but I don't see them doing it, but whatever. All right, well, Nick is saying he's feeling rough and wants to get out of here soon. So Nick basically wants to quit. Tina commenting, everyone doing things around camp but Nick. So Nick basically living rent-free. Roger, her, and Elizabeth have been fishing, but Nick is doing nothing. So Nick's still a physical threat to win the immunity challenges. So everyone's worried Nick is going to win the challenge, but they want to vote him off because they just don't think he deserves to be there because he's been doing nothing around camp.
Which, I mean, it's understandable, but like that is us as being like online players and like understanding that people like Nick serve a purpose other than just being a lazy piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, use him for
another as a nowadays player, someone who's played online before in the past as well. You want to use Nick, you want to use Amber. What are you people thinking? But this is very old school. Before
like good versus evil, exactly like you said.
Yeah, and you won't ever have this again. This is never gonna happen again where it's good versus evil. Everybody wants to be evil now. They all want media attention. They don't care about being the good guy anymore.
You gotta make big moves. You gotta have flashy moves. Like,
yes, you gotta have those.
Nothing about this episode is flashy.
Amazing. All right, so we get to the immunity challenge, and it's the fire scale challenge. So they have to build a fire in one bucket, and in the other bucket, they have to fill it up with water and bring the fire bucket up to light a fuse. There are holes in the bucket, so the water is going to be leaking out. So they have to get the water in the bucket fast enough. This challenge has been done a few times. It was done in the first season, somewhat similar, won by Richard Hatch. It's been done in other seasons in the future. At the end of the day, everyone looks like they're dying, except for Colby Donaldson, who just slays the competition. It's obvious he's going to win, and he just kills it.
There was a part that made me laugh so hard, because I really don't like Keith. Even though, by the way, shout out, Keith is the first survivor from Michigan.
He is, and Michael Scupin, but let's not comment on Michael Scupin. Let's just say Keith.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't count.
Yeah, we don't count
for Michigan. But Keith was he was an idiot. He thought he was done, so he threw his bucket, and then the water started to rise again. He was like, "Oh shit!" and he went to grab it. I thought it was so funny.
Incredible moment of television.
And also, there was a moment where he was filling up his bucket, and he kind of pushed it down, and Jeff was like, "Keith, what are you doing?" And Keith was like, "I'm just testing it." Jeff's like, "Don't touch it." I was like, "Yes, Jeff, yell at him."
Amazing. Yeah. So yeah, it's just actually come close between Nick, Colby, and Keith, but really Colby just slays it. It's obvious Colby wins.
The challenge was overall, to be honest, a little lame. I love the challenges. I was really looking forward to watching some cool challenges, and I was like, wow, this is what I got.
I know, it's really really the show, it's the pre-merge is incredible, and once you hit the merge, it's kind of
endurance, physical strength.
It's all, yeah, and they changed that in later seasons, but for this one, it's, it is what it is. But that's basically the challenge. Colby wins immunity, start of a winning streak. You get back to Barramundi. They are basically skeletons. They look like the movie Beetlejuice, where the couple turns into death bodies. It's a mess. And what happens? In walks Jeff Probst into camp.
First time it's ever happened in the history of the game.
First time it's ever happened.
Only season 2, but we see this happen more often.
AKA production knows these people are starving and they need better television.
Yeah.
So he sits down on the thing of rice. He's like, everyone come over here. He thinks they're not going to make it through their remaining days. He thinks they're starving to death, and he wants to give them the rice.
And he shames them. He's like, you guys did this wrong. We definitely gave you enough rice. You guys.
And Tina's like, well, some of it rotted out. And he's like, that's not an excuse.
No, girl. Let's try.
Amazing. So basically he says he's going to offer it, but he wants a fair trade. And they end up, the only thing that he wants is the tarp and Colby Texas flag, which was an on accident luxury item. Which, do you know the tea on that?
No, tell me.
So Kimmy told us this. So Colby told production that he was bringing a Texas flag, and it was all wrapped up like it was just going to be some little flag. They thought they wouldn't have approved it if it was the size that it was. And they had no idea, and it's this huge, almost like tarp-like flag. So this was just an excuse for them to take that flag.
Well, like, we're taking this, Colby. That is kind of brilliant, though.
Incredible. But yeah, so Jeff takes the tarps and the flag and gives them a lot of rice. So they have rice for the rest of the game. They are going to die of hunger, but now they have to build a new shelter without a tarp. Doesn't sound so fun.
No, but they did a really good job of rebuilding, and they knew that they had to move it. But like, I still don't think they moved it far enough, and like they're gonna get.
Yeah, it's gonna come back to haunt them in the next episode. Or
yeah, they did a good job rebuilding though. Like honestly, because like you saw them breaking down boxes and stuff that they had, and like using anything they could for a roof. It turned out like probably as decent as it was gonna be. But you know what my favorite part of when they were rebuilding? Nick sitting on his ass watching them.
Oh, for sure. He's not doing crap.
He didn't do anything.
Because you think he knew he was going. So he's like, I'm leaving anyway.
I think he probably asked them.
He totally knew. But back to, okay, so they build the shelter. That's that. Then we finally get our first little bit of strategy in the episode.
At 34 minutes. Strategy at 34 minutes in, we get our first talk of strategy.
So Colby is scared Amber is going to jump ship with the Kucha tribe. Elizabeth's like, Okafor diluted their power a bit by voting Jerri off. So Elizabeth's aware of it. Everyone's aware of it. Yep. Amber is in the middle. She is the pivot in the whole Barramundi scenario. And Amber, we get a confessional of her, and she doesn't know she can fully trust the Kuchas or the Ogakors. Girl, have a seat, okay? Come on.
Which people just completely blindsided you?
They just blindsided you, and she doesn't know if she can trust the Kuchas, which she should have trusted the Kuchas, but instead she chooses not to. What are your thoughts?
I think her issue with that, my big issue with that is I think that she thought that no matter what side she chose, she was number 4.
Yeah.
I feel like she probably realized that it didn't matter at that point and that she was going to stick with the people she assumed were going to have her back later on.
The day one people. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
No, that's not that. I mean, it's lame. Like, make a move, sis. Like, you even said it yourself. Like, you know that like this opportunity is in front of you.
For sure.
Also, though, Nick might have made it hard for them to make this move because they were really over Nick as well. And I think
everyone hates Nick, even like Elizabeth and Roger do.
Yep, I think Nick wanted out as well. So it was probably just like it wasn't the right combination of people for that move.
Absolutely. So we get to tribal council, and it's kind of confusing how the votes fall. So Nick votes Keith. Yeah. Elizabeth and Roger vote Amber, which leads me to think Tina and Keith may have told them to. So there was a second where they were thinking it, which we don't know about this. And then everyone else votes out Nick, and Nick is the one to go. Tina has her classic, so here's your ticket, buddy, vote, which I love. It's one of my favorite votes.
Iconic. I loved when Nick voted for Keith because I think Nick was probably going to vote for Amber as well. But when he voted for Keith, he was like, I'm voting for Keith because he's the only person that didn't bring his backpack. And that's just arrogant. And I'm like, yes, call him out. I hate that. Like, bring your backpack, you jerk. Like,
right, exactly. But yeah, that really concludes the episode. It was the episode where Nick leaves is kind of an uneventful episode, but I feel like we've made it fun. So yeah, cool. Absolutely. So now here's our fun part. So we are going to do our tops, bottoms, and hot mess express for the round. So Robbie, I'm going to start on the top. So who is your top player for the overall 2 rounds?
My top player for the overall 2 rounds, I've got to give it to, I want to give it to Tina, but I'm going to go Colby.
Okay.
Because I think Colby had a better gauge on getting rid of Jerri than the others did. I think it was a long time coming for Colby. And I feel like it was like some validation for him because getting rid of Jerri for Colby really frees him up a little bit more. And even though Tina and Keith knew where Colby's head was at, it may have been lingering that, like, if he wanted to use Jerri, he could have done whatever he wanted with her. So he gets a little credit for me from there. He was very dominant in the challenges. He was very vocal about the votes. He just seemed to be a little bit more of a dominant presence in these 2 rounds than Tina or Keith.
That's a really good one. I definitely agree on Colby. That was one of my top ones. But I actually chose Elizabeth.
Okay.
Now, the reason I chose Elizabeth, and I know that's a little problematic because it's Elizabeth, but I'm going based on Elizabeth Fularski, not Elizabeth Hasselbeck.
Know her then.
Exactly. I don't know her life at that point, but she was able to convince the Ogators to turn on Jerri. She has a good reputation with everyone. Everyone thinks she's a sweetheart. No one wants to vote her off at this moment in time. I think Elizabeth is playing one of the best, if not the best games.
It would have been really nice if she could have used that momentum.
I definitely agree. All right.
Nice.
Next, I'm going to go ahead and start on my bottom player. So obviously my bottom player is Miss Amber for not realizing turning on the Ogators would benefit her. Also just having a plain old invisible edit.
Yep. I will agree with Amber for sure. I also had Nick very close to the bottom. No gameplay out of Nick. Nick did not care about this game really in any capacity for either of these episodes. And like, I get it. I've been tired in a game before and just been like, fuck it, just vote me out. I'm ready to go. Just kill me. But it was very uneventful watching Nick. Even Amber had a couple of zingers and I didn't get anything from Nick.
For sure. I agree on both. All right. So next we're going to do Hot Mess Express. Robbie, who is your Hot Mess Express for the episode?
Jerri is the Hot Mess Express of this episode, even though she was only in one of the two. It just was a fall from grace. I don't even know if you can call it a fall from grace because she was never really in good graces with anybody. It was just a constant fall for her. Whether it be pissing people off, trying to call Colby as her partner for no reason, like chill, Jerri. And then like the stuff that she was saying that was so delusional about Colby. I was like, girl, she is an entire hot mess this whole episode.
Oh, absolutely. I would definitely agree on Jerri. Mine is going to be a little fun here. I'm going to say everyone on the tribe, but Amber at Final 7 after the auction, having the runs.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That is my Hot Mess Express. It was messy. Literally, it was a hot mess.
Literally messy. Gross.
Running to the lavatories. Elizabeth's scene where she's literally running for the bathroom was like a 5 seconds that cracked me up with that episode. So definitely that.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right, Robbie. With that, we're gonna play our game for the episode. So, the title.
About this.
Are you ready for this? The title of the game: Would you give up for rice? So, what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna list a few items. So, you're gonna pretend you're in the middle of the outback. You're starving. You have no food. You are dying of starving. And I'm gonna ask, would you give up this item for rice? And you have to tell me yes or no. Okay.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Would you give up all the furniture in your house for rice?
Oh, like in my house?
All of it.
Yeah, we don't have great furniture. Not a lot of it doesn't match, so it can go. So I could get rid of my furniture just so I could have a reason to get more new furniture.
Amazing. Would you give up AOC for rice?
No. I fucking start to death. No.
Because AOC's a queen.
Yeah, she's a queen and we need her.
Good answer. I'm happy you gave that one. I agree. I would never give up AOC.
I would eat my arm.
I'd rather starve to death than let our future president of our country in the future, first female president will be AOC. No, I'm kidding, but like I would love it. The next one would be, would you give up Grinder for rice?
Absolutely. Take it. Take it.
Amazing. All right, so the next one, would you give up RuPaul's Drag Race for rice?
I think I might.
I would never give up RuPaul's Drag Race. I'd rather starve to death than give up RuPaul's Drag Race.
I live for RuPaul's Drag Race. It's such a big part of my life, but like, I don't know. That's a tough one. That's not like an AOC immediate no for me, but I'd have to think about it. And to be honest, RuPaul can be a little problematic sometimes. So I could do without. Drag has been a huge part of my life, period, before Drag Race. So
yes.
Always be like engulfed in that community and like what goes on with or without Drag Race. So I will say yes, I would give up RuPaul's Drag Race.
I love it. I just like that you answered no to AOC. That's the best one. That was the winner. I should have saved that for last. Okay, last one. Would you give up a lifetime supply of poppers for?
Yes, I would. Poppers scare me. Like, I get that they serve their purpose, but they make me not like nervous.
Amazing. All right. Well, that concludes our game. Yay.
I like that. That was fun.
All right, Robbie. It was so much fun having you today. Can you tell our audience and viewers where they can find you on social media?
Yeah. I'm glad that you have it up because I don't actually remember my Twitter and my Instagram, but it's Robbie R. Riot, both Twitter and Instagram, and then Robert Ray Ramon on Facebook.
Perfect. And you can find me individually on Twitter, also on Instagram at Mendels8. And you can follow the Couch Potato Queens on Twitter at Couch Potato Queens. That's Couch Potato QWNZ. You can like us on our Facebook page, the Couch Potato Queens podcast. We have a whole team of 6 members. We're going to be launching our Bachelor podcast, also Housewives. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But with that said, make sure to outwit, outplat. Oh, sorry, I have to re-say that. Make sure to outwit, outlast, and outgay Henny. Bye, guys.
Thanks.